Hi, everybody. Welcome to our 8:30 update here on early signing period at the University of Colorado 2017. Neill Woelk of CUBuffs.com. My voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Last hour at 7:30 when we jumped on, we had 5 new athletes coming in for the Colorado Buffaloes. They're up to 9 total now, and now we've got 6 new ones we can jump on this hour. There's only one from the projections out there, one high school player left, but boy, they've really been putting together a class that I think is hitting a lot of the need areas we looked at for the Buffaloes.
Yeah, and I think that's what you do with any recruiting classes. Number one, you identify needs on your roster, and you try and fill those needs. You want to get athleticism across the board. You want to make sure that every player you recruit, can play at this level. But, equally importantly, you have to look at your roster and say, where do we need help? Where are we going to have some immediate help if we can get it? And then you always go in the trenches, offensive and defensive line. You can, Bill McCartney.
Look at his back here. The co-offensive coordinator, Darien Jones. How are the Buffs feeling right now?
Oh, what a day. What a day, man. We have added some playmakers. We've added some size. We've added some depth. This is a great class coming together.
As the offensive coordinator, you got to love the skill guys you've been bringing in.
Yes, excited about those receivers that are coming in with Dimitri Stanley, who I think is one of the best athletes, in the country. He's a two-way guy at Cherry Creek. Daniel Arias, who's long and fast and got great ball skills. You got Dylan Thomas out of L.A., who's another kid that's long and fast with ball skills. And obviously we added Tony Brown as a transfer earlier in the year. And then, Jarek Broussard and Deion Smith, those two are dynamic with the ball in their hands. It's an exciting day. And then Frank Phillip, the big left tackle from Houston, who was a key piece. Coach Adams did a great job with that one.
Darren, with now that you're going to be calling plays, offensive coordinator, can you run 6 wide receivers at once?
We're going to try. We're going to try to get them all on there. But also want to mention Blake Stenstrom, who his dad Steve is a great man. His mom Lori is a great woman, and we're excited that he's going to be a Buff. It's a great time.
And Chef, he's been the biggest recruiter and cheerleader for this program for the last year.
He's been awesome. He's been one of our biggest supporters. Obviously, my son played at Valor, and so I got to know Steve really well because our sons run the same football team, and he's been one of our biggest advocates in the community.
Fantastic. We'll pop back next hour.
Yeah, thank you. We will.
Darien Jones joining us, co-offensive coordinator for the Colorado Buffaloes, and his role changing, of course, a little bit this year. As we mentioned just a moment ago, he'll be calling plays this year, so he's obviously excited.
Well, yeah, he's got some more wide receivers, and he's got a quarterback.
Which he loves, yeah.
And that's what Darren Cheverini loves. Darren Cheverini never met a down that he can't throw the ball on.
There you go. I love it. And speaking of one of the guys he's excited about, let's go ahead and take a look as we touch on the 6 guys who have now sent in their letters of intent since last hour. Daniel Arias, we take a look at. Wide receiver, 6'2", 190 pounds, out of Mill Creek, Washington, from Jackson High School. This is a guy that has had 2 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, which is saying something with a high school schedule.
Yes, and again, Darren just talked about it, athleticism, and they love these. They love this receiver.
Look at the speed.
Big kid who can go up and get the ball in traffic, and he's also got speed once he gets into the open.
Well, you look at the receivers that the Buffs have coming back. Jawan Winfrey, you got Laviska Chenault,
KD
Nixon. But a lot of those guys, and I talk about the big bodies, this guy kind of fits in that same mold. 6'2", creeping up on 200 pounds.
And that's the kind of guy that you want. You need them both. You need a KD Nixon that get out there in the slot, run some of those quick routes, but you also need that guy that can go up and get the ball in traffic. And when you get that kid that's a 6'2", 190-pound senior in high school, he's a kid that's going to grow, and there we just talked about it, getting the ball in traffic. Yeah,
there's one throw in the back of the end zone to make him go up to the apex and grab that football. There we got him playing both ways, so getting an interception on the other side. Let's flip over to the defensive side. Again, 6 student-athletes have sent in their letters of intent since last hour. Tava Fee now, defensive end, 6'3", 255 pounds, from Luther Burbank High School in Sacramento, California. Good-looking body.
Another kid that got some, a lot of other Power 5 offers and had a lot of interest from other schools. And again, we keep talking about this, Mark, but you've got to go get the trenches every year. Right. You've got to keep restocking on the defensive line and the offensive line. Here's another guy, can play defensive end, can get to the quarterback.
Inside bull rush there.
Yes, can get to the quarterback, big, strong kid. And, obviously just going to grow while he's here. Has a nose for the ball. Just saw that right there. And so, more help up front.
Well, and the size, 6'3", 255. I mean, when you're looking at that 3-4 defense that DJ Elliott coordinates, and you've got big, thick defensive ends up there that have some speed. We're seeing some pretty good burst out of him here.
Yeah, and that's a guy that can set the edge. That's a guy that can play the run, and that's a guy that can get to the quarterback. He can play inside, but I'm sure they're going to play him outside when he gets here, and that's what is really going to help Colorado next year.
Good to see more defense. So let's stay on the defensive side of the ball. Next up, Clyde Moore. He is an inside linebacker. The Buffaloes just got here in the last hour, 6 foot 215, out of Newport Beach, California, Newport Beach High School. This is a guy that's coming back from injury. Only played 3 games this past year, but it was a guy that they saw as a junior they really liked and thought could be a heck of a player. In fact, as a junior, he was on the dream team by the LA Times here in the metro area in Los Angeles.
Nose for the ball. That's that inside linebacker. You have to have that instinct to be able to read an offense, see where the ball is going, see where the quarterback's going with the ball, make the play, and get there in a hurry. And this is the kind of guy that can do that kind of thing. 6'0", 215. Again, he's got some good speed, and if you're seeing right here, he can make plays out into the flat. He can go side to side, and that's really important for that inside linebacker. Not only be able to play the run like you're seeing here coming up the middle, but be able to make plays side to side, sideline to sideline.
And I was going to say, Neil, you think from a Buffalo standpoint, you got Drew Lewis and Rick Gamboa. So that those two positions on the inside are set this upcoming season. But there's a guy who can come in and learn for a year, and by the time those guys are graduating, jump in and maybe play.
Exactly, and that's be able to get some experience under his belt, get some spring ball in or some fall camp in, and learn as he's going along.
Yeah. Next up, here's a 4-star recruit by ESPN, by the way, Dylan Thomas, wide receiver. Going back to Coach Cheverini popping by a moment ago. Another offensive guy, 6 foot, 185, out of Cathedral High School in Los Angeles.
Yeah, again, and Darren Cheverini keeps on bringing these guys in. Just great athleticism. He's got speed. He runs nice routes, precise routes. That's what they like about him. He can go up and get the ball in traffic, but can also, shake a defensive back loose when he's getting out there in the secondary. And so he does a lot of things well.
You watch him in that post panorama, put the foot in the ground, made a hard cut, big, long, angular-looking kid. So another great athlete for the Buffaloes. You look at that position next year, and I talk about guys coming in and having an opportunity to kind of get acclimated, if you will. The Buffs are deep at wide receiver next year. They're bringing in more depth, so these guys don't have to necessarily come in and jump in the middle of everything.
No, they don't have to make an impact right away. They come in and learn, and it's a little bit like you saw last year with the K.D. Nixon and the LaVisca Chenault guys come in, slowly adapt to the system, and then they're ready to go.
They're making a nice cut, breaking some tackles on the way. So that's Dylan Thomas right there. Go to the defensive side of the ball. Another defensive back, L.J. Wallace, 6'1", another long secondary player, 185 out of Atwater, California, from Buhok Colony High School.
And again, this is what we talked to Shadon Brown, defensive backs coach, earlier this morning, and he was just talking about how they like that big, long defensive back that can make play on the corner, they can go up and get the ball, they can play a big wide receiver and still run with him, and can bend, has a good mobility out there. And this is another guy that fits that mold. And again, I'll say it, I'll keep saying it all the time. Whenever Colorado recruits a defensive back, you got to like the way they're judging it. Just if you look in the past.
Yeah, really, you think about Mike McIntyre. Of course, that's where he made his bread and butter as a coach, coaching the secondary. And by the way, Wallace, the kick returner, we just saw that just a moment ago as well. He's had a great eye for defensive backs over the course of his career.
And Mike has been able to identify guys like an Isaiah Oliver, who 3 years ago when he came here was not a highly recruited
Cheeto
kid.
Awuzie was another
Cheeto
one.
Awuzie, Akello Weatherspoon.
This guy's turned out all right.
Tedrick Thompson turned out okay. Ken Crawley, who Mike did not identify, was already here when Mike got here, but is playing for the New Orleans Saints right now. So they have done a really good job, Mike McIntyre. And I always tease him that he's got a little bit of DB in his DNA.
I think he did. He just smiled at us as he walked by here. And lastly here, since last hour, 6 national letters of intent have come in for the Colorado Buffaloes. Hey, look at this. We found a tight end. And nobody was smiling more a moment ago than Coach Bernardi walking by here. I said to him, you're going to get a tight end? He goes, it just came in. So now we can tell you. Darien Jones, tight end, halfback or H-back a little bit too, 6'5", 245. He's a junior out of Carson, California. Last year he was the junior college All-American.
And that's, again, if you're watching this right here, big body with some speed, can catch the ball in traffic. And, that's the kind of guy that's just that hard matchup. You can't cover him with a linebacker because he's too fast. You can't cover him with a corner because he's too big. And he just presents that matchup problem for defenses. And if you look at this, he's got some speed. He's got some breakaway speed when he gets to that second level. So another guy that you like to see coming here. I'm trying
to think the last time the Buffs had an impact tight end. And I've been here 14 years. You probably have to go back to Quinn Stupniewski.
I was going to say,
and Joe Kloppenstein.
Go back to the mighty Quinn.
Yeah, the mighty Quinn, who was here 6 years.
And it
Joe
seemed
Kloppenstein.
much longer. Yeah, and Joe Kloppenstein.
Yeah,
yes.
they were here at the same time.
Yeah, and those are, and that's still a position that I think that they're still working into this offense, and I think you'll see they used it more again this year.
Yep.
Got Chris Bounds worked into that.
Finally.
Yeah. Got Chris Bounds worked in there a little bit. Used George Fraser some. You see a kid like Poplowski that's coming up that I think you're going to see him more and more, and it's just a position that I think you still have to have because it adds so much diversity to your offense. You can line him up in the backfield, use him as a blocking back. You can line him up out wide, do a lot of things with him, and I think you'll see that more and more with this offense.
So with Chris Bounds coming back next year, we got Poplowski, who you talk about, who they've been very excited about. Now with Jones, we've seen too many times in recent years where the tight end has hurt Colorado defensively. Because it is an aspect of the offense we haven't seen much for the Buffs. It's hurt them. The Buffs have got to be able to go out and do that. And it looked like you've got certainly two young guys that can do that here moving forward.
Definitely. And you like this kid because he's coming in as a JC player.
Right.
He's played at a college level, and he should be able to come in and contribute right away.
This class isn't complete yet. There's one or two maybe high school guys out there, and then probably another two or three junior college guys we're probably going to see for the Colorado Buffaloes. But so far, this thing is shaped up very nicely.
Yeah, it is. And what you like to see is when you're looking at these JUCO kids that have already signed, Delrick Abrams, Darien Jones, they're both going to be here in the spring.
Right.
They're going to be, they're going to enroll here in the spring, be here for spring ball, as will Ray Robinson, the high school defensive back. He's going to be here in the spring, and that's such a huge jump for those kids. That gives them that it's an extra 15 practices in the spring. They get acclimated to school, they get acclimated to the football atmosphere, and it's a big help.
Well, the fax machine is still whizzing. We expect a few more to come in, of course. You can join us next hour for another update on what's come down the last hour. Of course, you can continue to follow us at CUBuffs.com and all the various social media outlets. For Neill Woelk at CUBuffs.com and Darren Cheverady, who popped in here a moment ago as well. I'm Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. We'll talk to you next hour.